Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke, and this video is super late, but better late than never. I think what was it, 2 semesters ago at Anime Club, we watched some shows, and I think I already talked about. Oh yes, no, I didn't because the other show we ended up scrapping, but this one here, Seven Deadly Sins, we actually continued watching, and we finished it, and I figured I should review it like I do with most of the anime that I watch. Um, it's a shonen, so it definitely is in my realm of interests. It kind of reminds me of Fairy Tail a little bit from what I've seen of Fairy Tail. We've watched like one episode of Fairy Tail as like a random show, which we used to do. For this last season, we didn't do that. We just focused on the stuff we were watching, which a lot of the times happened anyway, because a lot of the times we would get um behind or whatever. But yeah, and I'll try to keep the story synopsis short because I feel like that's part of the reason why my reviews drag on too long, and I imagine listening to like a 30-minute review isn't really that fun. And that's what I was talking about with with that one Crooked Man episode, how I'm going to try to focus more on just the actual review part, to put it simply. Um but yeah, Seven Deadly Sins. I believe the Japanese name is Nanatsu no Taizai or something. Um, to to give a brief sort of introduction on it, it's about this guy named Meliodas, and he's working in like his little pub thing with his pig friend Hawk, and they run into this armored person, and they're fighting. And it turns out to be a teen girl named Elizabeth, and she's all like, "I was looking for the seven deadly sins because the whole I think it's the Holy Night or the Holy Church. I don't. It's actually it's been a while, and I I haven't like seen the episodes in a while, so some of the stuff's gonna be a little fuzzy. But I did rewatch, or I shouldn't say rewatch because I had to watch I think like an episode or two because I missed, which was funny because like when I came in, like there was like this big thing with Melios. I'm like, oh crap. Um um and she's all like, the church is screwing things up with the kingdom, and I'm looking for I need help from the seven deadly sins, and I heard you're one of them, but you look a lot younger than your picture. And I, as far as I know, they haven't really explained that. I'm aware that the manga's been going on for a while, and there's supposed to be a season 2, but as far as I know, they haven't at least from what I remember, because I don't remember getting a explanation on why because he's actually pretty old. I don't remember how old he is, but he's definitely an old man in a kid's body, and I kind of like how he's portrayed. In general, I feel like he, even though he has a kid's body, he sort of kind of acts like an adult. I don't know. He didn't really act that much like a kid. And I know the thing, like, well, obviously, since if he's actually an adult in a kid's body, he's not going to act like a kid. But like, sort of his the way he talked and his a little bit of his mannerisms, I kind of like that. It made him more pleasant to watch because I'm generally not a fan of kid characters. But and I imagine there's a reason for it. And it's a nice little twist on the shonen genre. I mean, I know a lot of them. It's in terms of protagonists, they like to have young people as a protagonist, and usually the main character is like the hothead one. That's been going on for a bit, but I kind of liked how it's a bit of a change of pace here. And so basically, Meliodas takes Elizabeth with her, and she's like, "Let's go find the other seven deadly sins," and that's basically the start. The next episodes are really them like on their adventure to find the other seven deadly sins. I believe the next one they find is Deanne, who's like a giant. She goes with them, and then I believe the next one they find is Bond, who's actually probably my favorite character. I actually really like him a lot, and the funny thing is, like, the reason why I like him is also a bit of a complaint. Like, I'll get to it as we go along, but yeah, he's definitely my favorite character. And then they meet King or Harlequin um, during sort of like the big reveal on Bond's like backstory and whatnot. And next they meet during like their search for the weapons, I think, because they're looking for all the different weapons. Like once um, they start looking for their weapons, and the first one they're looking for is Gideon, which is Deanne's weapon, and that was I missed a couple episodes in that one. I think it was right before the Meliodas and Bond fight, and just to move things along, the church attacks Camelot. King Arthur shows up, like a kid version of King Arthur. It's actually kind of cool, and big battle with like this main like. I don't remember if he's a strategist or some sort of chancellor or whatever, but like big battle, and all is good. And then they go on another adventure, which is like the big cliffhanger. I think there's actually been some OVAs, I think, that have been because sometimes like with manga they get bundled with an OVA. I believe, I'm not sure. I think some of the later characters already have voices, and I'm pretty sure another season's supposed to start pretty soon, and obviously, as you can tell from the image, it's on Netflix, dubbed, which I'm going to get to more of that later on. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. Ultimately, the several characters of the Holy Church, Holy Knights or whatever, some of them turn good, like the pink guy you see there, Gil Thunder. He's actually probably one of my, I'd say maybe my all-time favorite, because I do like Bond, or like my favorite secondary character. But he turns, I say he turns good, but like he was under control. So like he said, like, I'll tell you once again, I am more powerful than the 7 deadly sins, which his voice was in the English version was pretty cool. I don't remember who did it in the Japanese version, but the English one, it was Robbie Damon, who also did Sore and Zestiria. And this one is definitely a lot different than Sore, and I think even in like the cameo skit, a little bit of it came out since he was doing Yuri. But he did a pretty good job. We did sample both the Japanese version and the English version, the dub and the sub. We were watching the sub first because when we started watching this, word of an English sub hadn't actually come out yet. And by the time because you know how Netflix is, how like they will release an entire series or season in like one big thing. I think for certain shows they will do like a weekly thing, but for 7 Deadly Sins they put down the entire thing, so you can if you have Netflix you can watch it on there if you want, which we did. It was definitely because when we do like to try to use legal sources. That's not important, but I'm not going to give you guys like an entire summary of my anime club experience. I already did review Erased, which was the show one of the shows we watched. The other two, I don't know if I'll review those just because I missed a few episodes, and I'm pretty sure both of them are dubbed. Yeah, both of them are dubbed, and I might want to... And we only watched the first season, so I don't know if I really want to review, like, just one thing. But anyway, 7 Deadly Sins, that's what we're here for. I've been putting this review off for a long time because I actually recorded one earlier, but it kind of sucked. I'm just like, I don't want to do that. But, yeah, so we watched it in honestly, actually, because we did switch. We got to a point where we were watching one episode and we watched like the first batch of like the final episodes in Japanese, then we went to the English version. At first we just kind of sampled and kind of flip-flopped, and then we went to the English version after watching, and there were definitely a lot of... I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought Bryce Papenbrook did a good job as Meliodas. It didn't sound like his typical performance. It sounded like he was actually putting a bit more personality into it. And I thought everyone did a good job. I was expecting Deanne's name to be pronounced Diane in the English version, but they kept it as Deanne in the English version. I guess that's how it was meant to be. Or it's, Netflix... I don't know who they got to, probably Bang Zoom to dub it, but there's no like DVD or anything currently. I think there's supposed to be one coming out, maybe. I don't know, but as of now, the only way to legally watch it and like officially watch it is on Netflix. The Japanese version was pretty good too. Surprisingly, Yuki Kaji as Meliodas kind of surprised me and he tends to surprise me a lot. Like, I keep sort of underestimating him because I feel like, oh, he's just gonna sound like his typical uh Aaron Yeager thing. But then in this role he actually did really good, and a lot of times I can't really tell it's him. So he's definitely a very skilled actor, and it it was a all the other characters did a good job. There isn't really anyone besides Yuki Kaji that really blew me away. I'd have to look it up on Wikipedia, which I already had to do before I record this because I wanted to make sure I could remember Hawk and uh, Gother's name, who I forgot to mention. They get him too. He's this other guy who's pretty powerful. So they have almost all of their 7 deadly sins. Like what? See, Meliodas, Bon, King, Dian, and I think it's Gother or Gauther or Gozer or something. Who's like, he kind of looks like a girl with like the short pink hair and the glasses. And I remember him being sort of like really scientific or at least emotionless. So we're missing 2. The show kind of to move things forward, the show kind of hinted. It did a pretty good job of hinting that there was more to Meliodas than people realized, that he was actually like super powerful. And they showed it in cutscenes. The big scene where like he gets like this black demonic thing, and they have to find a way to like calm him down. It's during the Gideon thing, I think, the tournament. I think it's like sometime after like their big fight or something. After Bon and Meliodas's fight. And that was cool, and I hope we get to see more of it, because I get the impression that we haven't seen everything. I imagine he's probably been holding back powers, and I imagine as the series goes on, he's going to get more powers, both stuff that he's been holding in and stuff that he's going to learn. So, and speaking of Bon, I like him for his backstory, and I found him interesting. He definitely is more layered than your average like thief sort of. Well, I say thief, but like he kind of comes across as being sort of like what's the word? Not necessarily a good guy, I guess. I don't want to call him evil. He's not like an evil character, but he's definitely like the he's got Ben Diskin. His voice kind of makes him sound like a bit of a. He's like the cool guy, in a way. So I guess maybe you can call him that. I don't remember who did his voice in the. I think it was the guy who did who's doing Noctis, and I think it's the guy who's doing Noctis in Final Fantasy 15, who also was in Saint Seiya Omega as the Wolf Saint. I don't remember his name though. But he was also a ninja, and then he turned into a rock star, because that's what you do. But yeah, I liked his performance as well, and apparently Ben Diskin was in Hey Arnold, and so it was kind of cool to hear him. I really like it when cartoon actors come in and do something like anime. Just from it just shows like more. I just think it's cool. I don't know how else to put it. It's just cool. It makes me happy because like it's a diversifying their portfolio, giving them different experiences. Though from what I understand, Ben Diskin had been doing a lot of anime lately. Let's see. Oh yeah, Bon. His backstory about like how he drank like the everlasting like water thingy that he was trying to get because he wanted to not be able to die. But he actually ended up being really honorable about it. How this fairy of the tree is like, you can't have it, and he's like, oh, okay. And then like he's like, oh, you're lying, I'm gonna read your mind. And then in his mind he's all like, man, I was really looking forward to that, man. And they actually became friends and part-time lovers, and it's because of that, because the fairy chick was actually King / Harlequin's sister, and so he's kind of mad at Bon because he feels like Bon killed her. So that sort of starts the conflict, and that it's used as sort of a way to get the to move the story along and kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess. My problem with doing Bon's backstory is like the backstory itself is fine. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I didn't like how it was presented as early as it was. I felt like we should have seen more of his character, seen more of who he is. I don't even think of sort of like a why are you doing this? Like you would never understand or something. But like I just felt like we didn't. I just felt like it was too early. I mean, obviously we did get a sense of who Bond was, but I felt like it was too early, and I felt like as a viewer I didn't make a good enough connection with him. Um, Now the way the show was presented as it is, it definitely made Bond my favorite character. So if that was their goal of making you think like, oh, you think this character is one way, but there's actually more to him, and if that's what they were going for, then good job. But again, I still feel like it was done a little too early. I would have preferred it if they had maybe pushed it back a little bit. It may have been a bit hard to do without going into like filler territory, like blatant filler territory. This was only a 27 or not 27. Yeah, I think actually 27. I might have to look that up. It was one of the 20 something episode anime. And obviously, it's getting more. So, but that's really my only complaint and issue. Like I just felt like Bond's backstory was given too early. Not that it's necessarily. I don't think it's not a bad thing, nor was it ineffective. I just think I would have personally done it differently. And I feel like it kind of rushes people into Bond's mindset a little too quickly. Almost like, oh, here's his backstory. Like, he's an interesting character. I mean, like he was already interesting to begin with. You had already hooked me. But that's just my opinion. The opening theme song, the first one was pretty good. The second one was also okay, and the first ending theme that was like that mix with the Flow and some other band, that was pretty dope. For the dub, as far as I could tell, the English translation was pretty on point. I didn't we didn't watch it with subtitles on, from what I remember, so I couldn't really compare, and we didn't go back and watch anything, nor have I done that. I sampled a little bit, and as far as I could tell, it seemed fine. Standard modern anime stuff, where they're gonna do a really good job with sticking to the Japanese, but they're also gonna change things if they have to. That's pretty standard these days. And of course, for those who just want the original, they can just turn on the Japanese with the subtitles. It's apparently dubbed in several other languages as well, which is kind of cool, if I'm remembering correctly. I might have to go back on Netflix and check it out, or at least look at the options. I thought the thing with Elizabeth, it's sort of like how her hairstyle, it covers one of her eyes. I thought that was kind of... I didn't think about that. I imagine more sharp viewers might be able to... And I only say that just because, but like how it was hiding like her different color eye and whatnot. I actually thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't really expect that, and the powers, how like they would drink, how like the bad guys would drink like the blood of like those monsters, and how they led you to think that the first bad guy who Meliodas fought in the first episode, or like the first two episodes maybe, was going to come back because this one chick like passed out, and then like he's like, I'm alive, but then like he explodes. It's like, and then the girl wakes up. It's like, you've got the power now. It's like, sweet. And of course she turns good. Like most of the characters, most of like the because it gets to a point, where it's like, oh, we realized we were not doing good. Gil Thunder was like the last person to really quote unquote turn to the good side. And I only say, quote unquote turn because like he kept saying, like I said before, he kept doing the whole like, I'm stronger than the 7 deadly sins, and that was like a code word that he said to Meliodas when he was a kid, and like he was training with him when Meliodas was like a knight or something. It's like, say that, I don't remember what the exact like specifics of it was, but using that, Gil Thunder was able to turn good, or like get out of mind control. I keep saying the word turn good. I don't know if that's necessarily true. But since he wasn't necessarily evil to begin with, But yeah, that's how he and I actually kind of like that because some of the characters were actually kind of cool. Like the I think he was a wind guy and he had like blonde hair that was pretty tall and like sideburns. He was actually kind of cool. The purple chick, this other a few other characters were pretty cool. I think Elizabeth's sister was. I think she had a sister. I think I remember her passing away. Like she gets killed or she's presumed dead. I think she actually comes back. I don't remember. But like, yeah, a lot of the characters who were actually part of like the Holy Knights, they were pretty cool. Um, King Arthur, I thought was kind of cool. It's obviously a young version of King Arthur. We'll have to see like if this series goes on to where like everyone's older. And does like a big time skip or whatever. We'll have to see like what they do. They gave him the sort of like orangish red hair, which I actually think is good because that's sort of the way I see King Arthur, either being blonde or having orange hair. I could probably go on about how I'd want to do a adaptation of King Arthur, but that's a completely, or not even completely, because like like I said, Camelot's in it, and that's another thing that sort of, because fairy tale kind of it's Seven Deadly Sins is very much a fantasy shonen in the realm of more fairy tale, I think, than anything else. It doesn't really strike me as being super modern. It's not like, I don't think it's like Naruto where like there's modern technology, but it's sort of like an alternate world or whatever. And I think in the movie they did they did a thing where they were actually filming a movie, from what I remember. I never actually saw it, but and I think that's because like when I was watching it, knowing that it was a shonen, I kept trying to like think like what is this show trying to compete with? I guess I kept thinking of fairy tale. It made me think of a fairy tale. But I think that's pretty much everything I can think to talk about. Like I said, I don't remember everything, but I remembered a lot more, and I feel like this version of the review is a lot better than the previous one I did. I don't know if I'll watch the second season or not. We'll just have to see. The show didn't the fight scenes were really cool. Like they were on the level of Dragon Ball in terms of like all the jumping around and like all like the damage and like just the amount of like damage that characters were getting. Like it was definitely a very larger than life thing. This series may be past the realm of series getting inspired by Dragon Ball, I would imagine. I'm not entirely sure. But it's definitely very Dragon Ball-esque. So if you're looking for a show that's at least similar from the standpoint of having these really larger than life battles, this show is definitely good. I might read the manga. I don't know. I don't read every single manga of a show that I watch. I consider doing that with the race just from the standpoint of like trying to catch up, but thankfully we were able to catch up and everything. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else to say. Overall, it was a really good show, and I would recommend it. And I'm disappointed that I'm at the 24 mark because I was hoping to have be able to get my review completed within like 10 or 15 minutes. But mainly it's because I feel like some of my videos are a little too long. I mean, for those who enjoy that, I'll keep doing them, but I'm going to try to focus going forward with the anime reviews, with the exception of anything Dragon Ball, because for the most part, I'll be able to like, especially with Kai, I'll be able to like recap that story pretty faithfully and pretty quickly. Or if it's something like the previous arc of Super, where it's very like step by step, to where like in order to really review it, you have to go over the steps. But yeah, this was a good show. Good character moments. Again, I felt like Bonds was a little too early, but it wasn't. It wasn't done poorly. I just think it was done too early. And it definitely worked. It's really just a personal preference. So, characters were interesting. Design was interesting. The music was good. The voice acting in both the English and the Japanese version were good. It's a good fucking show, and you should watch it. But yeah. yeah, I guess that pretty much wraps it up. In terms of the other shows we watched, because like I said, besides Erased, which I've already reviewed, we watched some other stuff. Which were Assassination Classroom and Noragami. Probably not Noragami, just because we got into like the second season, and I missed a couple episodes anyway. And I missed a couple episodes for Assassination Classroom as well. But I might review that just because between the three, Erased, Assassination Classroom, and Origami, I think Assassination Classroom might be my favorite. But we'll see. I might wait to watch that dub too. But that's not important. Just a little bit of a update on things for the future. But yeah, definitely give Seven Deadly Sins, Nanatsu no Taizai, a try if you're interested in it. It's on Netflix, both English and in Japanese, so if you don't want to watch the dub, you don't have to. But if you do want to watch the dub, you can. I'm pretty sure the subtitles are at least in different languages. I don't know about the voices. I might be crazy. But yeah, pretty good show. Alright, this is Flames Are On, aka YouTube Sasuke, signing out. See you guys later.